Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're tackling a big one, the nature of creation. And to help us unpack this pretty complex topic, we're turning to a talk by the philosopher J. Krishnamurty. This was delivered back in 1986 in Madras, India. Now, if you're not familiar with Krishnamurti, he was known for kind of turning conventional thinking on its head. So get ready for a thought-provoking deep dive.
You know what's really interesting about this talk is right off the bat, Krishnamurti does something you wouldn't expect. He straight up tells the audience, I'm not your guru, thank goodness. He wasn't about having followers. He wanted people to think for themselves.
So no blind faith here.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of giving like a traditional guru-type lecture, Krishnamurti throws out this huge question. After 2 million years of human evolution, where are we going? And even more intriguing, where did we begin?
Yeah, and he links those two ideas in a way that really makes you question the whole linear timeline. He suggests that maybe the beginning and the ending aren't so separate after all. Like there's this cyclical nature to existence. Kind of makes you wonder about time itself, right?
It does. So he's challenging our assumptions about time and progress. But then he moves on to a topic that's always a little bit well-sensitive, religion. And he doesn't hold back. He even calls out a temple near Madras that was bringing in $1 million every 3 days.
Now, Krishnamurti wasn't against spirituality, but he was very much against the way that religion can turn into something materialistic. For him, true religion was about going beyond rituals and dogmas, seeking a nameless supreme intelligence, something beyond, the structures we create.
I'm sensing a theme here, looking beyond the surface, challenging assumptions. And it gets even more interesting when he starts comparing the human brain to computers. He even talks about genetic engineering. It's like he was predicting the future.
And remember, this is 1986, way before the internet as we know it.
Right.
But Krishnamurti was already seeing how technology would impact human evolution. And his point was that both computers and humans are limited by their programming.
So is he saying we're just sophisticated machines? That's a bit of a downer.
Not quite. He makes a really crucial distinction between invention and creation. Like, we can invent a jet engine, that's impressive, but can we create the life force in a single blade of grass?
Ah, I see. So invention builds on what we already know, but creation taps into something beyond knowledge. That's a huge difference, and it really makes you wonder what is that creative force.
Exactly. And that leads us to how Krishnamurti approached meditation. You see, he wasn't a fan of traditional methods, like focusing on an image or trying to clear your mind completely. He saw those as forms of self-hypnosis, not true meditation.
Wait, so if trying harder to meditate is wrong, how do we do it right? This is different from a lot of what I've heard about meditation.
He was advocating for effortless awareness, a state of being rather than doing, not something you achieve, but something you allow. It can be a tough concept to grasp.
It definitely makes you rethink all those meditation apps out there. So are we just supposed to sit around and wait for this effortless awareness to happen?
Well, Krishnamurti ended his talk with a pretty strong call to action. He said, if you're unhappy with your life, change it today. Don't wait for tomorrow. And if your thoughts are confused, learn to think more clearly. It's like he was saying you need to get your inner world in order if you even want to begin to approach this realm of creation.
Okay, so no slacking allowed. We've got inner work to do. This is getting pretty intense. I think we need a break to let all this sink in. We'll come back and unpack even more in the next part of our deep dive.
He was saying, to understand creation, we have to start by understanding ourselves. It's like we need to tidy up our inner world before we can even grasp the bigger picture.
Yeah, that makes sense. But with everything going on in our lives, how do we even start doing that?
Well, Krishnamurti actually used the example of a computer to explain this. He talked about how computers can program themselves. They can even create new computers. He said the father computer has its own son computer who is better than the father. It's almost funny, but kind of creepy too.
It is. Like he was hinting at artificial intelligence all the way back then. But what was he getting at? Are we really just like computers?
His point was that even with all their power, computers are limited by their programming. Just like us, they can only operate within a certain framework. He was saying that sometimes we identify so strongly with things like our nationality or our beliefs that we end up acting like machines just repeating patterns.
So he's not saying we are computers.
Yeah.
But that we can get stuck in these rigid ways of thinking.
Exactly. And he even brought up genetic engineering, which is wild considering this was 1986. He saw how technology could be used to manipulate our biology, our behavior, even our thoughts. He was urging us to look beyond labels and conditioning to see what we really are at our core.
Wow, that's deep. So if we're not just our programming, what is the essence of being human? What is life really? Feels like he was touching on that fundamental question.
He used this beautiful image of a blade of grass, pushing its way up through cracks in the pavement. It's such a simple example of the life force that exists beyond all our human ideas.
It's like that little blade of grass is saying, hey, I'm here. Life finds a way. But then Krishnamurti asked this really thought-provoking question. Why are you listening to me? It's like he's turning the whole talk around and making everyone examine their own motivations.
He wasn't letting anyone off easy. He wanted his listeners to really think about their desires, their motives. Why were they there? What were they hoping to get out of it?
So he's pushing us to be more self-aware, to understand what's driving our thoughts and actions. And speaking of desires, I noticed he talked a lot about that. He said desire is part of sensation, isn't it? That's a simple statement, but it makes you realize how much our desires shape our whole experience.
Yeah, he was pointing out that desire isn't necessarily good or bad. It's just a natural part of being human. But when we're not aware of our desires, they can end up controlling us. And that can lead to suffering and confusion.
So becoming aware of our desires is a step towards freeing ourselves from them. That makes a lot of sense. And then he brings it all back to creation. He asks, what is the origin of life? And then, are you waiting for me to answer it? It's like he's challenging us to stop looking for answers outside of ourselves and start looking within.
He was reminding us that we can't just be given the answers. We have to actively participate in the inquiry, in the exploration, the inner journey.
And then he describes the origin of life as nameless, absolutely quiet, not worrying about making noise. Such a powerful image compared to the usual chaos of our lives.
He was contrasting that chaotic nature of our thoughts and desires with the stillness and silence that he saw as essential to true creation. He even went on to say that creation is the most holy, the most sacred thing in life. It's like he was elevating the whole concept of creation to something divine.
And then he hits everyone with this powerful call to action. He said, if you've made a mess of your life, change it. Change it today, not tomorrow. What a wake-up call.
He was emphasizing that we have the power to change, to transform our lives. It's about taking responsibility, not waiting for someone else to fix things. And he connected that directly to our ability to enter what he called the world of creation.
So we need to do this inner work, this self-transformation, if we truly want to understand and be a part of creation.
Exactly. And he saw meditation as a key part of that process. But not meditation in the way we usually think about it. He actually criticized practices that focus on concentration or visualization. He even said any conscious effort to meditate is just part of your discipline from work.
So he wasn't a fan of forcing yourself to meditate. But then what did he mean by meditation?
He asked, is there a totally different kind of meditation? Totally different. And he described a form of meditation that's effortless, without any measurement, routine, or achievement.
Wow. So no more striving or trying to reach some specific state. It sounds like he's talking about pure being, just letting go of all control.
He emphasized that you can't force this kind of meditation. He said you can't get at it through effort, through giving all your energy to something. You understand. It is something that has to be absolutely silent. It's about letting go of our attachments and just observing our thoughts and feelings without judgment.
That sounds incredibly difficult. How do we even start to cultivate that kind of inner stillness?
He suggested beginning by simply noticing the constant chatter in our minds. He asked the audience, so is your brain ever quiet? And then he talked about how our brains are always bombarded with thoughts, fears, anxieties, desires. He even said you drug yourself when you believe.
That's a bold statement. What do you mean by that?
He was saying that we often try to escape the discomfort of our own minds. Through distractions, through beliefs, through clinging to external things. He was challenging us to face the present moment, with all its messiness and uncertainty, without trying to numb ourselves or escape.
It's like he's saying, wake up, pay attention, be present, which isn't always easy.
It does take courage to face ourselves honestly, without judgment. But he believed that was the key to unlocking a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
So he's linking this inner work, this quieting of the mind, to the question of creation.
Exactly. He said, so we're going now back to find out what is creation. You understand? What is creation? He was suggesting that the creative force that gives life to everything, from a blade of grass to a galaxy, is the same force that exists within each of us.
That's a pretty mind-blowing idea. So to understand creation, we have to understand ourselves.
He seemed to think so, and then he added another layer, asking the audience, what is life? It's like he was challenging us to look beyond our daily routines and worries and really think about the deeper meaning of existence.
It's like he was asking, what does it all mean? And I love how he used the example of the blade of grass again. He said, what gives life to that blade of grass in the cement? Such a simple image, but so profound.
He went on to say, what is life in us? Not all the things that we go through, power, position, prestige, fame, or no fame, but shame. So that's not life. That's part of our mishandling of life. But what is life? He was encouraging us to look beyond the superficial stuff, beyond our roles and possessions, find the essence of what it means to be alive.
That's such a powerful question, one that I think we could all benefit from asking ourselves more often. What is life? What makes it truly meaningful?
He was inviting us to consider that true life might be beyond our thoughts and desires, right here in the present moment in the simple act of being.
And then he brings it back to that initial question, what is creation? But this time he phrases it a bit differently. He said, so we're inquiring into what makes a bird, what is creation behind all this?
Right.
It's like he's pointing to the mystery and wonder of nature and asking us to think about the force that animates everything, the force that makes a bird sing, a flower bloom, a star explode.
He was encouraging us to cultivate a sense of awe and appreciation for the interconnectedness of all things, to see that creative force at work everywhere.
And then he does something really interesting. He asks the audience, are you waiting for me to describe it, to go into it? It's like he's challenging their passivity, their expectation that he'll just hand them all the answers.
He was reminding us that true understanding doesn't come from someone else. We have to actively engage in the process of inquiry, of exploration, of discovery.
And then he delivers this incredibly powerful message, tying everything together. He said the origin is nameless, the origin is absolutely quiet, it's not worrying about making noise. Creation is something that is most holy, that's the most sacred thing in life. And if you have made a mess of your life, change it. Change it today, not tomorrow. If you are uncertain, find out why and be certain. If your thinking is not straight, think straightly logically. Unless all that is prepared, all that is settled, you can't enter into this world, into the world of creation. It's like he's saying that understanding creation isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's about embodying it, living it, becoming a part of it. And that begins with taking responsibility for our own lives, cleaning up our inner world, bringing clarity and order to our thoughts and actions.
It's about aligning ourselves with that creative force, that nameless, silent origin from which everything arises.
He was giving us a roadmap, but not one with step-by-step directions. More like a compass pointing us in the right direction and encouraging us to find our own way.
And sometimes the most important part of any journey is being willing to get lost, to wander off the beaten path and explore the unknown.
It's about embracing the mystery, the
Yeah.
uncertainty, the wonder of it all.
Exactly. And who knows what we might find along the way.
I don't know about you, but I'm still processing all that. Krishnamurti's talk is like one of those puzzle boxes with all these fascinating ideas that connect in surprising ways.
Yeah, and like a good puzzle, it leaves you with some pieces to think about on your own. He doesn't hand us all the answers, but he definitely gets those questions bubbling up.
For me, the big one that sticks out is this. If creation isn't about control or invention, then what assess our role in it? What does it even mean to participate in this world of creation that he was talking about?
That's a good question to sit with for a while, I think. Krishnamurti didn't give us a step-by-step guide, and I think that was deliberate. He wanted us to grapple with it, to find our own understanding.
It's like he gave us a map, but it's blank. We have to fill it in ourselves as we explore.
Exactly, and maybe the journey is more important than the destination. Maybe it's about developing that inner stillness, that awareness, and seeing where it takes us.
So to everyone listening, we're turning it over to you now. What resonated with you most from Krishnamurti's talk? What surprised you? What questions are you still wrestling with?
We'd love to hear your thoughts. What pieces of the puzzle are you still working on? This is a conversation that goes beyond just this one deep dive.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into the nature of creation with J. Krishnamurty. It's been quite an adventure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep your minds open.